Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now September 9th of 2022, and that means we're only getting closer to shows out there like Star Wars Andor, The Bad Batch Season 2, which by the way has now been moved over until next year, unfortunately, but we do still have Tales of the Jedi arriving sometime by this fall, so there's a lot of other things to look forward to for 2023 and beyond. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new Star Wars universe that a lot of fans have really been engaging in is the fact that we have Jon and Dave using their recent promotions to their best ability, even more so Jon Favreau because he got a higher promotion that really is putting him in the place of almost acting like a president of the company of Lucasfilm without actually having that title. So he's basically calling all the shots on many of the upcoming Star Wars shows and the films and the comics and the books, you name it. That's really going to lend a lot of new, refreshing stories to the Star Wars canon. And that brings us to exactly, where we are today, right? So, given that it is already September, we are slowly approaching the new year. It's gonna be here before you know it, trust me on that. And that means we're just gonna have, of course, give or take a month or two until The Mandalorian Season 3 comes out by that point in time. So there's a lot of things happening with Jon and Dave, is that they're also developing, other shows like The Mandalorian Season 4, the Bo-Katan series, which they're going to announce next year. There's a lot of things on the table that's really going to bring other things to light. However, when it all comes down to George Lucas, this is where things begin to get very exciting, involving the future of the Star Wars universe and more. So, with many new Star Wars TV shows currently in the works by Jon and Dave, they are also developing new Star Wars TV shows that are about to arrive on Disney Plus in the near future. Now, it's described, however, that one of the big plans that both Lucas and Favreau have in store have to do with one of the mystery Star Wars shows that is currently codenamed Star Wars Blue Link, is set to focus on the events during the original trilogy movies at different locations. However, we'll also be giving fans a recreation of the famous battles from the original trilogy films. This is set to include battles such as the Battle of Endor and Yavin that are already pre-planned to be recreated in a modern way, to give fans a very upscale and completely redone version of these battles while also using archived footage to use from the old films to make it feel authentic to the fans. Now, George Lucas is described to have approved the concept and is going to be working on it with Favreau for the new Star Wars TV show. Further, it's currently unclear what the plot will be other than the fact that it will be very war-based, both in air, ground, and space, as well as on foot, sequences that will explore Star Wars in a very different angle that fans have never seen before. Now, I want to stop here quick for a second. Now, we talked about this briefly a couple of months ago about Project Blue Link that's going to basically take place during the events of all 3 original trilogy movies at different locations. This to me sounds like a very interesting idea that Favreau and Lucas are moving forward with now, and how Lucas is the one that approved the concept to redo the Battle of Endor and redo the Battle of Yavin. And we're going to be getting full-on recreations of those scenes that's really going to give us a modern version of those 2 battles. It's best described that the scenes that they're aiming for is that they want to make it feel like the Battle of Scarif. That type of modern, cinematic-esque look to it. And you know what? I think it's going to really pay off. I do. Now, I would normally sit here and say, don't mess with the originals, don't do anything, that could very well interrupt with the original trilogy quality. But at the same exact time, let's be very real here. If anything, this could, of course, help a lot of new fans actually want to go ahead and go back to the original trilogy movies and watch those battles, to actually check them out and actually watch in between the modern take and the original take on them. The great thing about creating a modern take on this, and you have to be very careful, I'm not 100% saying here that this is going to be an easy task. It's going to be a very difficult one. You have to be very careful with this. If they're very careful and they're able to pull it off, I think it could very well go down as probably like 1 or 2 of the best, sequences that Disney could very well create if done properly. It could very well be right up there, with what we got in Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. So it all depends. I mean, nothing's ever going to beat the original trilogy, no matter how modern you make it. That's just my opinion. But moving forward from all of this is where things begin to even get more exciting. Alright? So, FAVREAU, of course, and Lucas prepare, of course, to make this more intense of a story than Rogue One, and it is going to get a very high budget to make it appear very cinematic, just like Star Wars Andor to make it feel movie-like. These new stories are also going to feature recreations of the explosions of both Death Stars and the consequences of both of them exploding over certain worlds nearby. FAVREAU and Lucas are set to be hiring new creatives to come on board of Blue Link in order to give fans a very different side of Star Wars that will be very dark and gritty with tons of battle scenes and using revolutionary CGI and new technology by ILM to give the fans the ultimate experience. George Lucas is said to be very excited about these plans, and they are getting ready to announce Blue Link sometime at Celebration next year in Europe to build up the hype for the fans. Now, that's actually, something that's going to take a lot of research on their end. They have to make sure, by the way, that they're going to be getting the proper visual artists, proper directors, and co-writers to be working on this. Even though Lucas and FAVREAU have a heavy hand in this, they're going to need all the help that they can to really make sure that this is going to feel magical, that it's going to feel very much in tune with the Star Wars fans, and I have full faith in this, given that it was George that approved this, given that it was George that is going to be involved in some of the co-writing of these scenes, and what's not to like, right? I mean, it's George. So, at the end of the day, too, there's another layer to all of this that really kind of you have to be very careful with. And that, of course, is, let's not forget about this, you have to have the John Williams music in these scenes, there's no doubt about it. Just like in the original trilogy, both in the Battle of Yavin and the Battle of, Endor, you have John Williams music playing. So you have to actually use that. I don't think John and George would ever forget anything like that, to be honest with you guys. Not that John has been approached about this series, but they could easily just reuse the past music that he has made. In 1, 2, 3, that's all they have to do. So, like I say, I mean, it's a very good concept, but at the same exact time, it really makes one wonder, is it really necessary? Well, it may not be necessary, but you know what? I think it's going to be entertaining. I think it's going to be very fun and very much driven for the hardcore fans. The fans that really, kick-started this franchise back in the 1970s and 80s. I think it's going to be a very good love letter to the fans if they do it properly. Giving us the trench run recreated in some ways, or giving us, elements of the core of the Death Star 2 imploding and exploding in certain scenes. They have to do this very well done, and they're going to give it to us. So, like I say, guys, wait till Celebration next year. They will be announcing Blue Link. There's a lot of things on the horizon. And anyways, guys, let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to morning.